Good afternoon, and honor team. Thank you for your questions. Today, I would like to talk about the current situation in the Somali state and the ONLF peace agreement, the elections in the Somali state, other issues impinging the Ogaden National Liberation Front in the Somali state, and the general issues in Ethiopia. And as you may be aware of, the Somali people have been struggling for the last 70 years to attain their political, civil, and democratic rights. There have been many wars in the Somali state, starting with the 1963 war, 1977 war, and the long-drawn war of ONLF since 1994 up to 2018, when the current change in Ethiopia and the current federal government had a federal government and changed the political situation and opened the political space. And from that struggle, long struggle, the Somali people were not struggling because they just wanted to fight a war. They were struggling because their rights were denied, they were marginalized, they were occupied, they were denied their basic democratic rights, their civil rights, their economic rights, and their political rights. And they have to resort to violence. And that has caused a lot of suffering within the Somali people and also within the wider Ethiopian community and the Horn of Africa. The struggle in the Ogaden has spanned many areas. It has drawn many other players, including international players, and that has caused a lot of suffering in the Horn of Africa. Having said that, and in 1918, April 1918, there was a big, massive change in the political scene in Ethiopia. You know, the old regime of led TPLF, EPRDF was changed through peaceful means, and a new state came, a new government came into power, led by Abiy, and that government opened the political space, called for dialogue between the liberation fronts and the government, and promised to bring political change in Ethiopia. And in light of that, the Ogaden National Liberation Front reached an agreement with the Ethiopian government in Asmara in October 21, 2018. The crux of that agreement, which was very, very profound and also very limited, was that the Ogaden National Liberation Front will have the right to pursue its political objectives through peaceful means, and the Ethiopian government will uphold its constitution and allow the pursuit of political rights of ONLF through peaceful means. And the other main key agreement was that the root causes that causes the fighting in the Somali state, the fighting between ONLF and the Ethiopian government, will be addressed through peaceful means, and a joint committee will be nominated that will look into the substantial issues that are outstanding. And that was how this peace agreement today we are enjoying in the Somali state and in the wider Ethiopia started. And having reached that agreement, ONLF came back, ONLF leadership, who are divided between the inside and outside, came back together and set up offices in Addis Ababa and Jigjiga, the capital of the Somali state, and started to exercise their political rights through peaceful means. The first step was to register ONLF as a political party, and ONLF successfully registered that political party and started its political activities. Part of the agreement, the people who signed the agreement, part of those delegation was the Somali state president, actually acting president, and the Minister of Finance, who is a Somali, representing Somalis in the federal government. And initially, ONLF and its supporters and its members were accorded very, very warm welcome in both Addis Ababa and in Jigjiga. And we started, settling back after a long conflict, almost 23 years of conflict with TPLF, EPRDF-led government. And our hope was that past issues will be left behind and we will move forward and progress toward peace, prosperity, and development in the Somali state, in the Horn of Africa, in Ethiopia in general, and the Horn of Africa in general. And that peace was brought by the cessation of hostilities by ONLF and the federal government. And ONLF has ever since been holding the peace agreement on its side. The federal government on its side has been holding also the peace agreement. We had no issues with the federal government except lack of implementation of parts of the agreement, like setting up the joint committee to address the key roots of the conflicts, and also the rehabilitation of the combatants. We had difficulty with definition of the combatants. For us Somalis, combatants are not only the ones who are living. We lost more than 10,000 fighters. They have got their families, their children, their parents, their wives, and the wider public who have suffered from the conflict. We have got many people who have been disabled by the punitive action of the TPLF-led government that has maimed many lives in the Somali state. We were expecting that issue will be addressed very well. Unfortunately, due to the current situation in Ethiopia, that commitment was not fulfilled. However, ONLF decided, since there will be coming elections, there will be a chance to form a new government, that we could address many of those issues through those continuous dialogue, and also when a genuine representative government from Somali state take power in the Somali state who can address those issues and also can face the federal government and also negotiate with those issues where the federal government is needed. Unfortunately, we met from day one hurdles from the regional government, and initially, after the initial welcome, they started actions that were disabling ONLF, actions that were against our peaceful political pursuit of our political rights. Our offices were vandalized, our flag was, on many parts withdrawn or maybe even, teared. Our members were harassed, detained, and we had many issues. We complained to both the federal government and to them, and in general, we tolerated a lot of issues like that. That has continued and still continues on a daily basis. Also, in addition to that, the regional administration has created their own puppet ONLF, who they are using to divide our people, to demonize ONLF leadership, to sow discord among our people and doubt about the leadership of ONLF and the general struggle of the people. But despite all that, we persisted in maintaining the peace, and we have succeeded in that, because from day one we decided to pursue the rights of our people through peaceful legal means, through the Ethiopian constitution, through the legal laws of the land, and through the laws of elections, political party laws, the code of conduct. And actually we believe that we have so far been doing very well. Apart from that, we had other issues also, where many citizens in the country were detained because they expressed their political rights. They talked about how there was mismanagement in the regional government, how the promises of freedom of speech, freedom of political rights were curtailed, and unfortunately, the new leadership in the Somali state chose to use all practices from the old regime. They used detentions, they used harassment, they used punishment through economic punishment, like for example not giving aid food to those who support other political parties, opposition parties, dismissing people who work in the government who express their ideas without any rights, without their labor rights, actually detaining members of parliament, harassing them, beating them even in one occasion. We've got all evidence on that on tape. And apart from that, there were many demonization of political parties, the opposition parties actually. The hope was that we tolerate all that in the hope that when elections come, there will be a free and fair election where a genuine government will be elected in the Somali state and in the wider Ethiopia also, so that people will have freedom of their democratic rights. The first test was how the laws of elections, the code of conduct of political parties, will be respected. But those just was on paper in the Somali state. No rights of the civil political rights of the political leaders were not respected. Nothing was done toward getting, an atmosphere conducive to a fair elections in the Somali state. The first act was the first test happened when NEBE started registering candidates. Political parties went to the districts everywhere, and we started registering our candidates. Unfortunately, we met harassment, detentions, use of the security force against our candidates. Actually, outright, even harassing members of the NEBE who are trying to register our candidates. So we managed only to register 100 out of 293 candidates. We complained to NEBE. Fortunately, NEBE took drastic action. They decided to register our candidates in Addis Ababa. So 140 candidates were registered in Addis Ababa. That was the first test of the commitment of the regional administration to a fair and free election in the Somali state. They failed dismally in that. Not only that, they started harassing the candidates, the candidates of the political parties. They used bribe. They used unethical means like bribe, harassments, detentions, threatening their parents, using clan affiliations to pressure candidates to withdraw from the elections. They used every means in the book, every dirty means in the book actually. Fortunately, that did not work as they planned. And then the next stage of the election started, and the voter registration process started in the Somali state. Because they failed to stop ONLF and many other political opposition to register their candidates, they then started another tactic. They resorted to outright fraud and violence to stop the registration of citizens, to obtain their voter registration cards. So what happened was, in many constituencies, almost all of the constituencies in Somali state, from Liban to city, they took the voter registration cards to undesignated areas, and they only offered few cards to the citizens to be registered. And and not only that, they stopped known opposition party supporters to register. They also withdrew the cards from those who were registered, and they hoarded them and they put them into certain locations. And so the fundamental fairness of an election is for people to have the right to register and vote for these people which they choose. So they took away the choice of their people. And that was one very, very horrible act. We complained also to NEBE, and we put public pressure both, and we also complained to the federal government. And again, NEBE reacted. NEBE sent investigators to at least part of the Somali state, to 11 constituencies, and investigated. And finally, NEBE decided to postpone the election to remedy those issues that happened in the candidate voter registration process. Now we are in a state where we are not part of the election that's going to happen on the 21st of June. For us, it's a victory because NEBE have listened to the complaints of the party, to the complaints of the people, but we believe the codes have been defrauded, and now the question is, how are those going defraudments? How are those infringements of the voter rights are going to be corrected? We are not still sure how NEBE is going to ameliorate the situation. How are they going to rectify the anomaly in the voter registration process? Will they, cancel all the cards and bring new cards? Will they make those people who have done that accountable in front of the law? Will they bring people who are neutral, who will not be working with the local political party to again steal the voter registration cards? There are many questions NEBE needs to answer, but in general, we have got faith in the process. We believe NEBE will take appropriate action, And in general, ONLF has decided always to follow, to use the political system, to use the laws of the land, the laws of the electoral laws of Nebe, and instead of just running away and withdrawing, we will fight to the end to correct the situation for the our voters or the citizens of the Somali state of Ethiopia to have a right to vote and choose their political leaders of their choice. And having said that, and we have had our concerns regarding what we believe, what will be, how can we have a conducive, fair and free election in the Somali state. And we hope, still we have got hope, that will be rectified. And having said that, the other issue of concern to ONLF is, for the last 3 years, there are spoilers who have been, framing ONLF, trying to demonize it, claiming that ONLF is going back to guerrilla warfare, that we are preparing to fight again, that our strategy is to gain power so that we can fight, and to misinforming the federal government and the wider Ethiopian community and the world. Those spoilers are both within the regional government and also outside the regional government. People who want to destroy the peace in the Somali state, that has been, ONLF has been the vanguard in maintaining the peace in the Somali state, and they might want to make sure that they want to push us back to the bush. But what we want to tell them that is, ONLF has taken a strategic choice of peace. We made our strategic choice that we will pursue our rights through peaceful means. You will never force us back to the war. You will never force us to go back there. We'll maintain our peaceful stance. We'll continue to seek our rights through peaceful means. And that's the principal stance we have taken. You will not succeed in that. Whatever you do is our choice. It's the choice of our people. We have listened to our people. We have garnered, we believe now peace is more powerful than fighting at this stage. And we call also all other Ethiopian forces to go through that peaceful process, because we believe war only kills people. It doesn't bring people back. It kills our youth. It destroys our economies. It destroys our land. And we believe we can reach our political objective through means. We know what war is. We have gone through it in the last 60 years. As ONLF, we have been fighting for the last 23 years. We know the damage to those involved, all stakeholders. There's no victory in war. There's no victory in war. It will destroy people, it will destroy communities. It will make the whole of Africa very, 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 volatile. And as the Somali cause is a key to the conflict in the Horn of Africa. And the decision that we took peace is, it's not only for the Somali people, it's not only for the people in Ethiopia, it's also for the people in the Horn of Africa, for the wider community of the world. We want to make our region peaceful, prosperous, free, where all people live in peace, communities actually live in synergy, and that's our decision. The decision of the people, the decision of ONLF. No one will force us into going back to war. And despite all the challenges we are facing, we are not happy with many situations. We are not happy with the way we are being treated in Ethiopia. We are not happy with how the Somali state is treating us. But in general, we will persist in pursuing our rights through peaceful means. Also, I would like to mention that what's the political position of ONLF? We stand for the right of Somali people for self-determination. Express it through self-rule, ethnic self-rule. We want to maintain our administration through peaceful means. We believe that we as a people have a right to rule ourselves. That is our principle. And also we believe we have a right, all rights guaranteed in the Ethiopian constitution. All political, economic, social rights in the constitution, which are very wide-ranging. Also we stand for that. We will struggle for that through peaceful means to maintain the rights of our people. And the other issue is we believe in peaceful negotiation of conflicts. There are many conflicts in Ethiopia between nations, within nations, between government and a political party, other parties. We call for all parties to choose negotiation and peaceful means. We have laid down our arms. We will not support any other violent means. We stand for peace. We call for peace. We call for national dialogue. There are many issues within the Ethiopian communities, within nations, on borders, on on historical grievances, on resources, on many issues. We call for all people, for political parties, for governments and other organizations to come together and really have a genuine national dialogue so that we can solve the grudges that were accumulating for almost a century. And we believe we can do that. Many nations all over the world have done it, and we can do it. So we are very positive. We call for peace. We call for national dialogue. And we believe in using the system, the legal system, and we have profited from it so far, because we believe the decision of the Nebe is a testament that through peace, people can get their rights. So we call all those who feel, issues to use the legal means. Also we call the government, the federal government and the regional government, to respect the rights of political parties, the rights of peoples, and also to respect the rule of law on their side, and we hope that will bring peace on both sides. And finally, I would like to call the Somali people. The Somali people have gone through hell for the last 23 years. There actually has been genocide in the Somali state that actually has disheartened our people, made them timid. They have lost faith in the system. They don't live in democracy. They no longer believe in, that they have a right for free speech to express their right through, peaceful means. We call for the Somali people to stand up, to wake up, that they have got these rights. It's protected and enshrined in the Ethiopian constitution. There are elements who want to make sure that they don't use those rights. You have got those rights. You have the right of choice. You can choose your leaders. You can choose the system you want. Therefore, be strong and stand for your rights through peaceful means. We don't want violence. We don't want violence within you. We don't want violence with the Ethiopian state. We don't want violence with other communities. We don't want violence with our Somali brothers on the Somali border. We don't want violence on the borders with our brotherly nations, the Oromos, the Afars, who we've got common, border. So we call for peace. We stand for peace. And finally, I would like to congratulate Nebe for its bold decision, and I hope they will persist and continue that. And we call for all political parties also to be bold and pursue the right through political means. We know this election is a test election. There will be many anomalies. We are not satisfied with all the processes, but still we have got hope. We believe there could be change through peace. So we call upon all stakeholders, all parties, to respect the rights of the people. All leaders, we are representative for the people, for the peace. We have got responsibility. We should not advocate violence. We should not advocate, other dictatorial means. We should stand for democracy, for peace, and for development. Thank you very much.